Hey, Isla.
Hey there.
How are you?
I'm all right. Just getting some work done.
You
Chiming
like
in with
my
you.
you like my hold music? Was that good? Get your work done music?
Girl, I don't be listening to that stuff. My kids listen to that.
That is funny. That is funny. You're not an old lady, so stop that. Stop that. But peace to you and peace to the room, to the anonymous listeners in the room, because clearly it's a bunch of y'all in here. Welcome to my space. I'm Eve, and tonight I wanted to talk about sabotage, extortion, and the movement. The mic will be available for people who want to participate in the conversation. I don't plan on staying here all night, but I did see something today that really made me want to talk about it. And it just seems to keep happening over and over and over again. Um, I guess before I go into my thoughts, we do have a person who has some thoughts. I'm going to let you up and see what you have to say, and then we're going to get started. Choke, what's up? Skins Carter, are you there?
Oh yeah, I'm here. I didn't know you called my name.
That's okay. Did you have some preliminary thoughts on my topic before I got started?
Give me 1 second. Let me turn this down. Hold on. Hey, what's going on? Sabotage, extortion, and movement. Um, I really don't know what's going on just yet. That's what kind of popped in. It was an interesting title, so I just wanted to see what you were talking about.
Well, I'm
And
going to be talking about sabotage, extortion, and movement. No, but that's fair. It could be current events, right? Or I could be talking about something antiquated.
right,
You don't
right.
know yet, right? No. I'm glad that my title was intriguing and enticing enough to get you to come through the space. I hope that the conversation is equal or better than what you thought it would be. And yeah, current events and antiquated things. I find that we are a people who do not like to study the past. And it's definitely a PTSD moment of sorts for some of us because we might have traveled down the rabbit hole of Pan-Africanism, and maybe you found that it's not quid pro quo. So you were searching for something and they were searching for something, and what you were giving and receiving weren't equal. So I understand that maybe people kind of stay away from the past because the people who are in charge of those stories, they don't even necessarily know their story. I talked about this a couple weeks ago, how our flag and establishment is a lot older than a lot of these countries and the diaspora, but they'll try to tell us that they've been there for hundreds and thousands of years. And while that's not untrue, what is true is that those are not the same people who were in those specific places. People have moved, migrated, colonization and the invaders definitely changed the map. So I would argue that, these new countries that were established in the last 50 to years to now, they might have something to learn from us who've been around for a little while longer, at least in this form. Um, but yes, the past is definitely a good teacher because I think everybody's heard the whole saying, if you don't study the past, you're doomed to repeat it. It's like a Groundhog's Day moment. Have y'all seen that movie, Groundhog's Day? Is that like a white people movie that black people don't
You
watch?
know what? You're like the second person this week that asked that question. I've
But have
never.
you seen it?
Nah.
So it's kind of funny because the premise of the movie is that everything is very repetitive until you catch the loop. And then when you catch the loop, then you can kind of get out of the repeat. But that's funny. Arla, have you seen that movie?
No, uh, it came out when I think I was like a teenager or something, but I just never was interested in stuff like that. Mm-mm. They were golfing and stuff. That's all I remember.
Yeah, no, exactly. That could very well be one of those white people movies that I've watched that a lot of us don't necessarily find our cup of tea. I have a very wide range of things that I find funny, and sometimes it's just really not that funny. I just think it is, and we're gonna move on for that. But the point of what I was saying is that um, I think in life, if we don't catch the loop, then we are bound to repeat it. I think that Black Americans specifically are on a hamster wheel, a lot of hamster wheels, or just a very large hamster wheel. So maybe you feel like you've gotten off of it, but you just kind of got on a bigger one. So it didn't seem like you were going in a loop until you found that, you were on the loop again. Some people glitch when that happens. They don't necessarily know what to do, and then they move erratically. Some people pause when they find out, they're having deja vu moments, things that are repetitive. Go ahead.
You know what's crazy? Since we're, expanding on the topic now, I literally just had a conversation with someone about this earlier today. Um, one of my cousins, he came down last summer, and he attempted to make a move, right, down south. And, you know, made plenty of money, had a lot of cash put away and all that kind of stuff. But it just kept making me, like just small mistakes that snowballed into bigger mistakes, And so he went back up north. And now, almost the same month that he came down last year, he wants to come back down again. He wants to give it a second go. But, it's crazy. It's exactly what you just said. You know, you have to kind of study, what went wrong the first time to understand, like, what you need to do to improve on your situation the next time. And I think I believe our people have a problem with doing that. A lot of them do, like critical thinking, just research, study, and making your next move, your best move, literally, is a tough go for a lot of people.
I would agree with critical thinking as a problem, but I would place the blame. I like to place blame. I like to play the blame game because a lot of it we like to take on ourselves, and it's a very defeating type of energy that you're putting on yourself when, I think if we put the blame where it's supposed to go, then we can get angry and really want to do something. Because maybe you get angry and then you want to do something, but if you're angry at yourself, what do? Some of y'all have some dark thoughts, and I really don't want to go there tonight, but it does happen. So let's put the blame where it belongs. Racism, white supremacy is definitely the reason that, a lot of us are stuck on this loop. And critical thinking is a skill that I think they teach us not to have in the school system because you're supposed to think the same, and you're not necessarily supposed to have questions that don't align with the curriculum. And then once you start thinking outside the box or moving outside the box, don't be a student who stands up, who needs to move around while you're getting your work done, because then, oh shit, watch out for that one. But it's by design, I think, and it's at a very early age that they are teaching us not to be a critical thinker. Go ahead, Isla.
I just had this conversation with Sumaya today. She came from school telling me about some uh, little boy that put his finger in her face. You know how people touch their forehead and stuff, and then she took his arm and twisted it. But, of course, I went to the extreme with it, and I told her she need to beat his ass next time. And I don't care about no teachers or none of that stuff. I said, tell them to call me. I said, what they're trying to do. She was like, well, I'm scared that, because she did it after she thought the teacher wasn't looking when she twisted his arm. And she's come to me repeatedly about, well, I'm scared I'm going to get a write about it, because they make them write about it if this the incident. She's in a Montessori school, so their discipline methods are a little bit different. Or she's got to go to see Allison, who's the principal. And I told her, I said, what they're trying to do is teach you how to be passive and accept these things. You got to go and tell them about it. I said, no, you beat his ass. And I said, you got to hit him and hit him first and strike hard. You're going to teach him a lesson. Let him know that, he can play with other people like that, but he can't play with you like that. So the point that I'm making is that with her, I'm not going to allow her to have fear that there's going to be some type of repercussions from these people. That's a training. They're training her to be docile and passive and submissive and depend on me to fix this for you. No, you're going to fix this yourself. And if there's any problem, tell them to call your mama.
Amen to that. And welcome to the loop. Choke, are you paying attention? That might happen a couple times. If you come up and you had a moment today or this week where things are repetitive, I think that is a time for us to reflect on why we're repeating this moment. And Isla, definitely in the school that she's at with them people, she needs to be able to stand up for herself now.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Because
Because I think it's just
it's
yeah. I think that
dangerous with them people.
I think there might be two, maybe three other black students there, and there's one aftercare black teacher. She just does like the aftercare after they get off school, for kids that are like in extended care. So she's virtually alone. There's no other, black students there but her and I think 2 or 3 other people. One little boy that's in her class, um, he's mixed, so, you got to get real close up on him to even know. But anyway, I'm going to let you continue.
That's funny. No, but you're right, and that's my point. When they're teaching our children and us these behaviors, if nobody is there to correct it in real time, like I talked about with the parents and the debriefing that I think we should have with our minis about what went on in their day, we can fix these problems in real time if we have the time. A lot of times we don't have the time, and most of the time that is absolutely why they target our children specifically, because they know that we are on a hamster wheel, that work wheel, that 9 to 5, that work don't stop, that grind doesn't stop because the bills don't stop because we got to eat and all that stuff. So it is on purpose that they do this to us. And then Choke brought up critically thinking for ourselves. Why is it a problem? I think that it's a problem because people don't like responsibility. When you make a decision and you kind of have to own it, you're owning both sides of the outcome, whether it's favorable or unfavorable. And people don't like to own the unfavorable outcome. And that's the God's honest truth, at least to me. If you have a difference in opinion, you can let me know. But to me, I think the biggest thing is that they don't want to be accountable for when things go bad. A lot of people, maybe everybody loves to be appreciated when things go right. Maybe you're not looking for that, but to get that accolade and things did go right, that's nice. But for everybody to be pointing at you when things go wrong, that a lot of people that we just talked about turns into 2 to 5% of the room. And I guess that's hard, but because that 2 to 5% can critically think, I think that they do I think they do a good enough job with hurting the masses, but then to what end? And now we've got the sabotage, extortion, and our cause, the movement. This is the conversation we're in now. So thank you for the preliminary thoughts and bringing us to what I wanted to talk about. Everybody's familiar with the Catholic Church, and for lots and lots of decades, the Catholic Church has been rocked with scandals and sex abuse, and this is worldwide, right? And the reason that it's such this big thing, it's not really a big thing. Everybody knows about it, but are there consequences being dished out to the perpetrators of these scandals, sex crimes, heinous acts against children and others? Or are they being ignored and they're being allowed to fester and continue? Isla,
Yes, I went to Catholic school, yes.
Did you know anybody who went through any of that? Like, I had some suspicions of some of my classmates, but nobody, the boys never said anything, and I don't know if they'll ever say anything. So there's that.
No, I
I know some
don't.
girls that got fondled, but that was in high school, and it was in
Yeah.
a Catholic school, but not by the priests and such, like everybody kind of thinks is who preys on people there.
Yeah, no, I never experienced that. And when I was in Catholic school, they still allowed the nuns, or, that you were allowed to get either paddled, or they would have a ruler and they would like smack your hands. But my mother and my father did not permit that kind of stuff. And they made it well known. The very first time I ever um, heard the word nigger was in Catholic school. And that we were in Dallas, Texas at the time. My dad was stationed there, and I was going to St. Elizabeth. But anyway, that was the first time that I ever heard it. And my mother I remember my mother taking me back up because I asked her what that meant when I got home. And she took me up to the school in front of the nun, and she told her what happened and that she was going to explain to me what that word meant. So my parents were very in your face, and they didn't tolerate some of that stuff, and they didn't go along just because you can beat them other people's children, but you're not about to touch mine, was the kind of attitude. And so we were guarded in that aspect. Wasn't none of that you're going to be a little, whatever, what do you call the priest boys?
Altar boy.
Yeah, the altar boys. I call them the priest boys.
Little
You're not
priest
gonna,
boys.
yeah, no, wasn't none of that. You're not gonna be, staying after school or unaccompanied in anybody's presence. It was none of that kind of stuff. My parents did not go for that. Mm-mm.
Shout out to them and their example, because as we can see in real time, your minis have a voice and a strong arm in you. And I can appreciate that, because we need to protect the minis. We had them. So it's our duty to protect them. But I bring up the Catholic Church because of all of the scandal and all of the cover-up, all of the, I guess, quote-unquote extortion, because what ends up happening, at least with the priests and the bishops and the cardinals, and I apologize if I'm messing up the hierarchy in your religion, but let's just face it, y'all know that you got a whole bunch of people with the caps on and the hats on and the staffs and all that shit. So, but all them people kind of have issues. And maybe not all, but y'all have a bad rap. You have a bad rap because it keeps happening. It keeps happening because you're not doing anything about it. And that's my point. There's a hamster wheel. And I guess if the Catholic Church wanted to do something about it, they could. However, what happens is people get shifted and passed and pushed and moved around, and the movement doesn't stop because people don't know what's going on. When people find out what's happened, it's up to the parishioners to do what they're going to do. Hopefully, at least you would hope in your church that they were real believers in the message and that they would still stand behind the quote-unquote movement of your religion, regardless of the humanity that might be displayed between the leaders in the movement. But what happens a lot of time is people lose their faith because they weren't necessarily people of strong faith anyway. They were just people looking for something to believe in, something to take responsibility, right? Because again, that's what kind of makes people afraid of thinking for themselves. It's the fact that if I have to think about it, well, now I'm responsible for the outcome. And if I don't know it's going to be 100% win, then I don't know if I even want the responsibility. I keep hearing that over and over again. Go ahead.
I wanted to add to that. That just made me think of blind following, right? How we tend to, in the movement, right? And this, we've done this historically. We tend to put these, some of the more public figures on these pedestals, um, and hold them in this lofty position, almost like a godlike type of position, right? And we never challenge or question. We just blindly follow, and then we get into this group kind of mentality where sometimes we can get, I don't want to necessarily say bullied, but what's the word I'm looking for, Eve? Where you feel forced or pressured. Um,
Coerced.
yeah, it's like that whole herd mentality. You're afraid to break away from the group, or you get ostracized or ridiculed. Kind of like what the Democratic Party is doing right now with black men in particular, and black people who are deciding that I'm no longer going to participate or just vote blue no matter who. And I attribute that a part, as a part of our training in the system of racism, white supremacy, um, where we aren't encouraged to think for ourselves, think critically, and we always have to have someone to have the answer for us. Um, but anyway, I just wanted to add that part about how we sometimes just blindly follow. Like I just can't find. I've always gotten in trouble, I guess, coming up because I was so contrary, right? And I wasn't going to just do it because you said this is what it was, or this I've got to do it. Like I'm the right person. Like why? Well, why do I have to do it? Where I want an explanation. Um, and a lot of us we kind of fall into that whole allowing other people to think for us, and we just regurgitate talking points. We don't do any kind of research for ourselves, and then we stick with a group of people, or we group up, and we never break off, even when we find that there are some questionable things happening, right? Um, and we're not perfect, and so I'm not saying that these people have to be perfect, but I don't know. It's in my opinion, it's better for us to focus on the independent part. That's the, of the United Independent Compensatory Code. The independent part, we've really got to focus on that. So I hope all that made sense. That's Isla's jumbled brain. Sorry.
It made sense to me, but maybe I can decipher. I don't know if the room understood, but I think if they didn't, then maybe they would request a mic and ask a question. So let's just focus on this part of what you said. Fear of isolation. At least that's what I kept hearing. And that is a very real thing that people prey on. Once you are in a movement, or once you've given up everything and follow Jesus, right? That's in the Bible somewhere. So, at some point, some of these religions prey on people's belief in the system, and the people will give up everything. A willing sacrifice. Those are sweetest, the willing sacrifices. The kicking and screaming ones too, you'll do it, but, you want the one that is going to do it all. And then from there, if the person has a wake-up moment or an accountability moment or a time where things just weren't making sense and they got a whop on the head, like how Rafiki whopped Simba in the head in The Lion King, I think that matters. And then what the person does with that whop on the head moment, that also matters. But a lot of times people will say, I'm too in it. I'm so deep. I've done this, 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 and this. And then they won't actually move. So while they had their awakening, it's easier to go back to sleep. And in their slumber, more fuck shit happens. Go ahead.
Or they've made a name for themselves within the movement, or have been recognized for certain things within the movement. And so that reputation, that recognition, they don't want to lose that, right? Or now look as if they are turncoats of sorts, right? They've now changed sides, or they're now bringing out stuff. So, this social media world I've been very observant of. It's a funny thing. And people really, this is their lives. I mean, this is their life. And their online reputation with people that they've never encountered in real life means something to them. I don't know, it's strange to me. It's so strange to me. Um, I don't know, they get upset, and they don't want to be seen as not being on quote unquote on code, which a lot of us are just using that all wrong, but that's a whole nother discussion. Um,
No, that's pretty on par for this discussion,
yeah.
because here's the thing. There's all sorts of codes, right? We talked to the kids,
Mhm.
the minis, about that a couple Sundays ago, and it's that people can take a term and abuse it. That's the problem. And then the sheep will follow. A lot of y'all don't think you're sheep, but you are. And that's not me being mean. It's just me saying that if you're not doing anything to correct or fix anything, and you're just following what other people do, then that kind of sounds a little herd-like to me. And I think that if you are on the side of doing the right thing, that herd, and that's cool. Maybe you want to be a sheep, because again, it is easier to just do what someone's telling you to do. Like at church, they tell you, do these things or don't do these things, follow the 10 Commandments. That's super easy. I got it. I
Mhm.
won't murder nobody. I'm not going to fuck nobody's husband or wife. And then, I won't lie. Right. I won't steal. I don't know what the rest of the commandments are, so please forgive me. But all those 10 things, right? Or
Mhm.
maybe they're like super African, they're super black. They are 42 Ma'at law people, and I did not, all of those different things. That's wonderful. But
I mean, I'm sorry. It's similar to people who go to church to hear the preacher give them the scripture, but they've never picked up the Bible, right, to read it themselves. And so their interpretation and their understanding is solely based on another person's interpretation or understanding. So it's a similar thing. We talk about these books, we talk about these master teachers, we talk about all these things, but no one actually picks up the books to read and understand for themselves. And so what we do is we listen to people who do talk about it, and we just go off of what they say. And it's all, some of it is just, and I'm learning that as I'm still studying and growing. A lot of it is just all bass backwards, as my daddy would say. It's just, it's not in line with what these people are really trying to teach us. If we were really following some of this stuff, there's a lot of our behaviors that would not be, we wouldn't be, behaving in certain ways. But I'll leave it there. I think I've kind of cut in enough.
No, I appreciate those cut-ins, as you want to call them. I don't think they're cut-ins. You are on stage. I offered the mic to people who wanted to participate. Actually, I begged you. I said, Ayla, I need you. Because, look, what happened earlier today, I saw some shit earlier today. And the pattern is that bitch-ass niggas in the community do fuck shit, and then all niggas ain't shit. And I just really have a problem with that narrative. And I'm not saying that that is what I heard from anybody's mouth per se. But what I keep hearing is that if you say something about somebody in the movement, then, you're off code. And I'm like, so we can't have any distinctions. There's zero nuances inside of that message. But every example I've looked up of other movements that have had people peopling, doing some things that maybe you wouldn't expect the leaders of this organization to participate in, you have to accept that people are people. Nobody's perfect. And I hate that people want to believe that they're perfect people. I don't get that. Like, for what? Nobody's perfect. Everybody's doing their thing on their own path, living
I
their
think it
life,
goes
whatever.
back to that when I was saying about the recognition piece. You have some people who they they've now gotten certain accolades or recognition or honors
No,
from.
that sounds like clout chasing, Isla. That sounds
Yeah,
like
yeah, and it's,
attention-seeking, clout-chasing, bitch-ass niggas shit. I'm sorry.
yeah,
That's what it sounds like to me. But
yeah,
no,
it's
when you
strange.
said that earlier, I did want to touch on that, because I get it. If you are a person who is held in esteem in the organization, and then you find out something about something else, well, maybe you feel like the organization that you've been supporting is not real. But that goes back into what we started with Choke's first question about our critical thinking skills. If the organization is not about the fuck shit, then to me, in my humble opinion as just a person, just Steve, I think that it would be a good thing for you to speak up against whatever it is that is tainting the quote-unquote movement. Because as it stands, if the movement or organization or system doesn't actually do those things as a practice, and it's just some lone wolves out here trying to mess everything up, or just who have really fucked up predilections and kinks, that's not the organization or movement. When 9/11 happened and everybody got all, ooh, Muslim and ooh, Islam, and, everything was code word for black, but it was a lot of the ones who wear the turbans and such, they got hemmed up in different places, and everybody said that that was racist. But I think at the end of the day, it was more about people doing what I just said. They saw a few people doing some fuck shit, and they said, oh, nope, all of them, which again, code word for black. So if we're always going to be the scapegoats, and we're always going to be the people and the organization or the I hate saying organization, but because we're so unorganized, but we are this group of people who keep getting shit on from all of these other groups, and these other groups get to thrive and flourish with all their fucked upness, right? I guess that's my main point. And if they get to thrive with all their fucked upness and nobody says that their movement or cause is fucked up or whatever, and I'm sorry, I'm cussing a lot tonight, but I was so angry this morning with what I saw and what I was hearing, because it keeps happening because people don't know. And if people do know, then why are y'all just allowing it to happen? In real time, I've heard men say that men who behave like Barbell behaves would get hands put on them, which is why Barbell likes to state hop and hide. So I understand that. But also, is the internet just a place that people can run and hide? Like, is the internet Oz? I'm sorry. Is that the place? The Wizard of Oz? Yeah. Is the internet Oz, Isla? Like, you can get tossed into Oz, or you can find your way in a hot air balloon and then this magical city place land where nobody is what they say they are, or everybody gets to attach to some.
No, it's definitely a fictional place. It's a tool that is misused and abused, and I mean, people don't even meet each other anymore or sit in person with each other and have conversations. Everything is done through this thing we have in our hands. So I don't know. That's just my opinion. It's a fictional place. I mean, you can create your own persona. You can be whatever it is that you want to pretend to be. Yeah, I think it's dangerous.
I think that the internet is undefeated, and because of it, people do the dumbest shit. Revenge porn is a crime. I think that maybe I'll say that every time I have a topic like this, because I don't think y'all know that. Like, it's an actual crime. In some states, you can be jailed for it. And then in some states, it's just a fine, and it's just a mark on your record or whatever. But maybe you don't want any marks on your pristine record. Or maybe you don't give a fuck. There's that too. There's a lot of people out here with rap sheets as long as the day is. And y'all don't know because you don't do your vetting. There's no paperwork check. You believe people for what they say they are. And to a degree, I'm right there with you because I expect people to be who they say they are. Like, why are you going out of your way to lie? Because that's what it is. When people are going out of their way to espouse themselves to be something that they're not, that's a lie. We don't have to make it complicated. It's super simple. From there, why are people lying? Well, I guess there's a lot of reasons why people would lie. But if maybe you don't want to be around a liar or you want to be around people who are telling the truth, then you got to do what Isla said. You got to try to meet up with people in real life. But if you met them on the internet, watch out because they might try to get you. Man, I heard earlier today, well, if someone offers you, oh, okay, here, let's go like this. You're talking to somebody because y'all are adults and y'all are talking and things are cool. You meet up. All right, it's not a move. You should be able to say no. And from there, that should be it, right? But no, what keeps happening, or at least what I keep hearing, is that when the woman meets up with this person, man, male, thing, man, male. Okay, when the woman meets up with him, there you go, him. When the woman meets up with him that she met online, and the math ain't mathin', she gets punished. And she gets punished for being vulnerable and open and trying to actually make something real happen. Because I guess that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to have meaningful relationships and connections with people because we're social people. But the internet is an imaginary place, like Isla said. So you have to be careful. You have to be wary. Now, if you don't know that the person that you're linking up with has assault charges and extortion charges and a pattern or behavior, a history of doing fucked up things, then maybe you wouldn't want to link up with that person. Maybe you wouldn't even be interested in them, but they've been presenting as a person who's very knowledgeable about things that affect you. So you're like, all right. But in real time, I seen an article where this TikTok chick met up with a fan who had been sending her money and she's not here no more. So, oh no, I'm sorry, it wasn't TikTok. It was Instagram. It was an Instagram booty model. And I guess that's a self-inflicted wound because why would you do that? But that's what I'm talking about. People think that they're going out here doing one thing, connecting with somebody because it seems real. And if you've really spent some money, then maybe you are real. But no, people will spend a lot of money to still be fake. And that's the beauty of the internet. You can have money or you cannot have money and nobody would fucking know because they're not there with you. But anyway, sabotage, extortion, and the movement. Welcome to the new listeners in the room and to the people who don't want to show their faces. That's okay. I have some experience with people who don't like to show their face, and for what it's worth, it's all good. Just do your thing, playboy and playgirl. And I'm going to do my thing over here and talk about extortion. Did you know that extortion is also a crime? Because what happens is when these women are vulnerable with these men that they've met online and they don't want things to continue in that way, but we're all fighting for the same thing, so we should be able to keep fighting. But no, I don't know if it's that these niggas is not getting any, so then they finally land one, and it's like, I have to keep her, because if I don't keep her, I don't know when the next one's coming. But Katie, I guess they never been fishing before, and I'm not a dude, so to the fellas in the room, I have no idea how y'all figure that out, which one of us to talk to or approach or reel in or whatever. But it seems like some of these niggas, they get one and they're like, this is the catch of the year. Gotta keep it. And then it spoils because you can't just keep a fish, or, I guess you got to put it in the freezer, but then it's frozen. And now, well, I don't know. I don't know if they want to play with the fish or not, Isla. I have no idea. But at the end of the day, they don't want to move on when it's time to move on. You got to cook the fish or get rid of the fish, bury the fucking fish, put it on a plaque. You got to do something with it. You can't just keep it and just, that's kind of gross. But essentially, to me, that's what I keep seeing when I'm hearing these stories of these men who are trying to keep these women who don't want to be kept after the woman has been vulnerable with them. And then the man results to, I'm sorry, and then he results to extortion. And extortion is like when you are threatening someone with revealing private or damaging information. And I don't know if people are thinking that it's just a bad thing to do versus something illegal. Isla, do you think that that's it? People just think that they're being mean versus they're committing a crime. And if they knew that they were committing a crime, maybe they would do something else. Because I swear to God, I've had this thought over and over and over again. If Jeremy had just talked shit about me for 3 hours, we wouldn't even be here right now, right? At least I wouldn't be here right now because he just would have talked shit for 3 hours. But no, he went and did some whole other shit, which now we are where we are. But do you think that that's it? You think they're just confused about the legalities of it all? Oh, damn. I can't hear you, Isla. Can y'all hear Isla? Or can you hear me? And maybe if somebody gives me a thumbs up, they can hear Isla. And like a heart, if you can hear me, that would be great. Because Isla, I can't hear you. I see you're muted now, so obviously I'm not going to be able to hear you. But can you hear me, Isla? All right. Immortal can hear me. Nobody can hear you, Isla. I'm going to drop you down, and then maybe you can come back up. If anybody in this space wants to come up and speak, Elon doesn't like when I have conversations like this because they are constructive for Black people. So we will have issues. I did record the space this time, so for people who want to listen to the playback, I'm getting better with my speaking pattern. I know I speak slow, but it's because I'm trying to think about what I have to say. I have a lot of thoughts, and sometimes they're not all constructive, but I promise you I'm trying to have constructive conversations on this app because fuck them people, and fuck people who want to sabotage the movement. Because what we say out of our mouth, that could sabotage the movement. I think if people get emotional and then say, fuck them niggas, right? Because that's what happens in relationships. Not you, Isla, and not you, Katie, but a lot of bitches, they get into a relationship with someone who breaks their heart and they're all like, man, niggas ain't shit. I'm gonna go get me Juan Chavez. And then he beats the shit out of her because them niggas have anger issues. Or they go and get with Tunde, and he beats the shit out of her because you're not about to be talking like that to him. And then she realizes that the grass ain't greener on the other side. And our men are not passive, but they do know how to talk to us. And from there, conversation rules the nation. Peace, Immortal. Welcome to the stage. Sabotage, extortion, and the movement. It's sex, but what is it really? What do you want to talk about?
Hey, greetings to you, and greetings to everyone in the room. Uh, Something you said. the question you asked. You asked, are people just ignorant of the law? The reason why some people just do the things that they do, or are they cognizant of the law and just don't care? I think for the most part, when you see people online doing weird shit and it's either illegal or it's a civil matter that they could be sued over, most of the time they really don't realize it. Some of them do. The ones that do have immunity. Just like if a police officer, an undercover cop, he got drugs on him, and then he goes and sells the drugs to someone, or he got money and he go buys the drugs from someone, he's not going to get in trouble for being in possession of the drugs. He's not going to get in trouble uh, uh, for purchasing the drugs or none of that. He's the police, so he can do that, right? In order to catch other people. So some people on here that do things that are illegal have immunity. And some are just plain ignorant. I've heard so many different things for as civil matters. I've heard libel, slander, you know, and demeaning people's character, lying on people to try to stop whatever movement or initiative they have. People just come out and just start lying on you. Well, that's a problem. If that person can prove that they were damaged by what you said and it was a lie, then that could open you up to civil proceedings concerning slander or libel or things like that. And then I've heard stuff all the way up to felonies on here, where people will come out and issue out terroristic threats against you. They'll straight come to, I'll do this to you, and I'll shoot you with a gun, and I'll beat you, and I'll do this on. That's terroristic threats. That's exactly what that is. And people just do it. And so I look at some of them, I wonder which one of you are ignorant and which one of you have immunity. Definitely some of them have immunity. Um, um, I hate to say it. I really hate to say it. But, yeah, oh God, I sure hate to say this. But I have to use it as an example. If you go back and look what Tariq did to Harker Bay. Now, he got him crossed up civilly and criminally. He got him crossed up. He got that man crossed up till he can't even speak on Tariq no more. He can't even say his name. Everything that he had on his channels and YouTubes and all that shit has had to be taken down. I kind of feel some type of way. I got an attitude with Tariq right now. I don't hate nobody, but I got an attitude with him right now about other matters. Nobody's perfect, but I got an attitude with him about it regardless, or whatever. So, but I just use him as an example because it's a prominent example that anybody can go look at right now. You keep on messing with people, and you keep on messing with people, and you keep on messing with people, and eventually you will find out. You will find out. So things like extortion, that's a felony. Yeah. If you don't do X, Y, Z, then I'm gonna, do A, B, C. That's extortion. And there's another term that people use, and it's funny to me. It's wild when I listen to people and they sit on this app and other social media sites and they say things like "in real life." They use that phrase a lot because they want to give you the feeling that when you pick up your device and you start using your voice and speaking into that device onto an app, that somehow you've been transferred magically into some la la land doesn't really exist. You're in a cartoon now. You're the road runner now, right? And the Wile E. Coyote and all that. That's what they think they are. But no. The law applies on Twitter too. The law applies on Twitter. So if you know somebody didn't do something like steal money, if you know somebody did, if you can't show where they stole something, don't say that they stole something. Because if they go back and try to do an initiative and somebody says, well, I'm not gonna help y'all. Well, why not? Well, because I heard you stole money. And if that person can prove where it came from and can prove that they missed out on opportunities to build in the future or support in the future, well, then that's the case. Other things that people do. Keep on badgering people. Harassment. Harassment is a thing. And that's usually a misdemeanor. And they got cyberbullying. That's the internet version of harassment. You're harassing someone. So yeah, I really wish that my people would be more savvy concerning the law And I really wish that more of us would learn the law so that we don't do these things. We shouldn't be doing these things in the first place, especially not the other black people. I like it when the white supremacists get what they call it, doxed. I like it when the white supremacists get doxed. Show who they are. See, we taking out the big guns when you go against the white
Actually,
supremacists.
no. Let's touch on that. Thank you, Immortal. Please stay up, because I'm not trying to interrupt as much as I don't. I want to slow walk what you just said. Doxing. People, you will get familiar with the fucking dictionary if I have any say so, and you are in my spaces. Doxing is the act of publicly providing personal identifiable information about an individual or organization, usually via the internet and without their consent. Doxing is not posting a picture of someone who is not an undercover agent. So unless people are saying that somebody, Jeremy, is an undercover agent, don't know where, but then posting his image or anybody's face is not doxing, unless, like I just said, you're an undercover agent. Outside of that, your fucking face is public information. Everybody's already seen it, the people who have seen you. And if you don't like your face, well, that is something that you could do something about if you have money, or, yeah, I guess money would be the only way that you can fix your face. I don't know how else you would do that. From there, I just really wanted people to understand what doxing was. Doxing is revenge porn. That's doxing. That's publicly providing personal identifiable information about a person without their consent. But again, if you not know fucking Mission Impossible, Born Identity, special agent or some shit posting your face is not doxing. And it's also not a reason to revenge porn somebody. So people need to miss me with that example as a reason for why Jeremy violated me. But, Emerald, go ahead.
Yeah, yep. Thank you for that definition. If you go throughout different states, the definitions will vary slightly. And if you look at the federal laws concerning doxing, the definition will vary slightly. But that's the general definition of what it is. And so if me myself, have a mugshot out somewhere and somebody finds it, puts it on it, that's not necessarily doxing because it's public information. But if you take that same mugshot and then you give my address and then you give information on who my family is, and then you go on off into all this and my phone number, my first and last name, if it's not on the mugshot, if it's not in the public information, you give my name, that's doxing. And I don't mind white supremacists being doxed. I remember when the officer who murdered Mike Brown, as soon as the community figured out who it was, less than about 24, 48 hours after the murder, his house, everybody knew where he stayed. He had to leave. He was gone. He was out of that house within 24 hours because 48 hours later, it was niggas standing outside. Then he got doxed. But see, sometimes we have to fight these white supremacists and let them know, give them a little pushback. That's the enemy. That's how you do them. But what you don't do, if you're a real Black American, like some of these people around here that claim to be Black Americans, they don't act like it, and I don't believe that they are. But if you were one Black American and you got a problem with another Black American, doxing shouldn't be the first thing that you think of. Especially if you're a millionaire and the person you're doxing is not. They just an average, everyday working class person, and you're going to do that. I don't believe in that, especially when you're talking about grassroots activists doing their thing, and then you go out of your way to, dox them. I think that's jacked up. But back to the main subject, sabotage. Yeah, people are out here doing sabotage. And what I've noticed is there's a whole movement online of astroturfing, if you know what that is. Y'all probably, this is a pretty smart room. Y'all know what that is, astroturfing. Pretending to be a grassroots movement when it's really not. Yeah. And I've noticed a lot of astroturfing going on. And anytime an actual grassroots movement starts, something that actually comes from the grassroots, they begin to, these astroturfers, they begin to, sabotage. They start lying, slandering, all manner of things that they'll say. Um, but I just thought the subject was interesting, and I thought it was interesting when you asked the question, do they know what they're doing? A lot of them don't, but some of them do. Most of them don't. I think most of the young guys that get on here and start threatening, or not even young guys, but most of the people on here who get on here and just start threatening violence against other people, I don't think you really didn't thought that through. I really don't think you thought that through. You know, they count on the other guy, the one that's being threatened. They count on that person not being a snitch. You know, they count on that. They count on you not going to the authorities about it. You know, because we got a culture where we really try to avoid the authorities whenever we can. But if somebody is have you trying to extort you, or if someone does revenge porn against you, or any of these kind of felonies, you are under no obligation to keep that to yourself. If somebody's committing a felony against you, I would never advise you not to take appropriate action. You know,
It's
everybody, you know.
like I think Isla was talking on this earlier. It's like and Isla, maybe I'm just reading too much into what we've already talked about, but I guess an embarrassing moment or an accountability moment that people don't necessarily want to have. But I would just remind everybody that every action in your life has a consequence, whether you want to accept that or not. And your decisions are yours. So are the consequences of your actions. But I don't think people should live with regret because, essentially it was your decision. Now, maybe someone held a gun to your head. Maybe you can regret that. And still, I don't know how you would regret that unless you could have prevented the gun being pointed at you. But maybe we're teetering off into victim shaming or victim blaming, and I don't want to do that because I feel like they expect the smart people in the room to rationalize some fucked up shit, and then when we can do that, it means that we can accept why it happens, and now it's tomorrow, and nothing really happens about what happened because we could rationalize what happened. But I think that calls us to pay attention to the desensitized, the I think I was about to make up a word that calls us to pay attention to the fact that we've been desensitized to everything that's happening to us. And when something happens to us and we don't want to say anything about it, or we do want to say something about it, but it doesn't go the way we think it's supposed to go. It's supposed to scare people away from talking about what happened to them. And I get that, but I don't know why people accept it. So maybe I'm just a very rational person. I'm not saying that it's right because it is wrong. I'm saying that I understand why people use these power moves against vulnerable people. And we're talking about organizations that people believe in, things that people sacrifice for. They start thinking, well, maybe I'm just a sacrifice for the cause. Maybe I'm just that I was supposed to be here for that so that this person could get to where they needed to get to. And maybe my sacrifice is going to push us closer to the mark. Maybe. Or maybe we would have gotten there faster if people had spoken up about the fuck shit that's going on, and then we remove these fuck boys out of the way so that the real people can get back to work. I really, 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 really have an issue with the fact that me, KD, my dude, and Bear Arms are the only people in Virginia speaking up for us. That really bothers me, especially with all these people who are supposed to be in Virginia speaking the same shit. The code, what code? The code's been sabotaged, and it's been sabotaged by niggas who don't like to read. So, Isla, maybe they need to join our Sunday school class. Isla's very good at breaking down the code and Mr. Fuller's words to a degree where I know how to stay in my lane. But I do accept the fact that that Black Americans are all suffering from the same shit. So I do want to put the blame where it's due. Because, again, y'all can't be harming yourselves because you fucked up. But that's what you do when you put yourself in isolation. When that organization makes you feel like you can't speak up about the fucked up thing that happened to you, well, now you're isolated because people are telling you to accept it. I got told so many times to focus on my family. It's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but it's okay, Eve, because, the greater good. The greater good. Okay. Focus on my family. I was focused on my family. I'm still focused on my family. But what y'all are not going to do is say that anything that is treasonous to us is something that we have to accept as a us thing. No, we're going to put the blame where it's owed and get back to work. Why are y'all so accepting of getting rid of Rolly and Joy Reid and Kamala if you will just accept somebody of the lineage to do the same shit? Like, what? Are we getting rid of one to serve the other? What? Why? When things used to be so simple. Immortal, you said that people, it's a mix. Some people know that it's a crime, and then maybe a lot of people don't because they're just acting emotionally. And I've had this conversation with Isla before, so I'm curious to have it with a man. Well, I've also had it with my dude, so this is not the first time I've had it with a man, but let's just go there. I find that a lot of men were raised by their mom. So what we end up seeing is his mama, and it's the bitch in him that meets all of us, and then we're reacting to that. How do you feel about that?
I think that's a cop out, and I think it's a jab at single women, single mothers. I think it's a cop out. Um, when they say, when most of the time when you talk about black people and you say, well, they was raised by their mom, well, the CDC already kind of dispelled that. The CDC said black Americans have the best fathers in the United States. And common sense. I know a lot of people went to college and lost their common sense, but common sense tell you that there's no way in the hell that black American fathers can be the best fathers in the United States if black American mothers were not the best mothers. We got the best mothers in the United States. Now, here I am, a man who was raised by his mother, his grandmother, and great grandmother primarily. I have my uncles in my life, some older cousins, you know, but the main man influences came through my heroes and my community, like the Nation of Islam. I was tutored, and by the time I hit 16, hey, they laced me with, they pulled me to the side and tutored me on many different things. So it's just a cop out. That's what I say. That, oh well, your mama raised you, and so that's why you're acting like this. And that might be true in certain cases, but in general, that's a bunch of nonsense. I've seen so many good men that father have died in their life, and they was raised by their mother, turned out to be good. They got out here with mommy issues. Now, see, mommy issues is a different thing. You could have your daddy in the house and be raised by both of your parents and have mommy issues. See, some of these guys that be going hard against women got mommy issues, and that don't have nothing to do with whether she was a single mother or whether she was raising you with a father in the house or whatever. You just got a problem with your mama. You don't like your mama. She didn't like you. Something's going on where it didn't transfer to you on how to treat women. You don't treat, and like I know I'm not perfect, and I know I fall from my own expectations. But I feel pretty good about myself that I treat people the way I want my sister to be treated. I wouldn't want my sister, to be mistreated. So I'm not out here mistreating other people. I don't want my mama to be mistreated. So I'm not out here mistreating other people's moms. I don't want my daughters to be mistreated. So I'm not out here mistreating other people's daughters. So some of this shit is just common sense. And that cop out is just a dig against women, I say. The black community have some of the best parents in the United States. And the problems that we have is not problems with mothers, is not problems with fathers, it's problems with parenting. It's problem with being black in America and attempting to be a parent, you know. So yeah, no, I don't subscribe to that. That oh, you single mothers, isn't that? Isn't your daddy was around, your uncle was around. They just couldn't get through to you. You got too many mom issues.
Thank you for your opinion on the topic. I've had mixed feelings about this, but I like how you've been able to elaborate on, what I was saying, because it is, when you boil it down, it is mommy issues, and there are nuances there. Like you said, she could have been with your dad. She could have been with another nigga. There could have been a man there, and you still got mommy issues. So that is, I guess, what I've been referencing when I'm talking about the bitch in him, because he hasn't, there's balance, y'all are not all testosterone. like literally your body's not all testosterone, just like we're not all estrogen, but you know, we have more of estrogen and you got more testosterone and balance. But reciprocal, that's what you've been talking about. And I think that common sense is reciprocal, because if nobody's harming you, then you wouldn't harm somebody. If somebody's treating you right, then you would, I guess, not necessarily treat them right, but you wouldn't treat them wrong. So if you're not treating them wrong, then I guess by default, you're treating them right. But what's happening is that people are choosing to fuck with people and then daring them to do something about it. And I think that that's sabotage. And then I also think that that's extortion. And our movement is very, I don't want to keep using the word nuanced, but I'm not that far in the dictionary. Like I started reading the dictionary a couple days ago, maybe 2 weeks ago now. And 2 pages a day, it's a lot of fucking words, and I'm still in the letter A, and it puts me to sleep every night. But nuance is the word that I'm going to land on, because it's a lot of variations that don't really matter at the end of the day, because the movement is supposed to get us to reparations. But I don't think that some people want us to get reparations, Immortal. I think that some people like the idea and the call to action because they know that a lot of us aren't really moving in the movement. A lot of us like to listen and spectate. And then you look at Virginia and it's just 4 of us speaking up. I have a real problem with that. I have 0 issues with the people speaking on it. I just Katie, did you know that there was a museum being built that started in 2008? And in 2008, they said that it was going to take 30 years to build. And now we're encroaching on, like 14 years out? So money is being dished out, and this is supposed to be a reparations push of sorts. Did you know about that? I found out about it a couple weeks ago. It's a lot of money that I think that would be better used in the hands of the people. But maybe that's just me. Go ahead, Immortal.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had a call, but when I got back off the call, I heard you talking about how, it's like 4 people in Virginia holding it down, really stomping and holding it down for lineage-based reparations. And each one of you has been the target of, some of the things that we're talking about tonight. Each one of them have been the target for standing up. Now, it's 2 of them.
Hold up. Yeah, look. God damn it. Wake it up, Immortal. It's 8 a.m. somewhere. No, well, actually, I don't know. Not yet. In maybe 22 minutes, it's 8 a.m. somewhere. Katie, I kind of, not that I met you on that bullshit that you was going through, but that kind of happened all at the same time. And I really appreciated how you held your ground and you had your receipts, evidence. People need to be falsificationists. And if you don't know what a falsification is, then you need to read more. And if you don't want to read, then you can listen to Dr. Winters. He's live like every other day on his YouTube. But falsificationist is the person who will be moved if the evidence makes sense, if there's real reason to move. And from there, a lot of people just listen to people without having paperwork. And, when people's money is involved and people are trying to slander you and make you out to be something that you're not, I think that if you're a person who is unorganized or not ready or don't know what we're up against, then you're going to get got. So shout out to you for being a good example with people's money. But I didn't know that Bear Arms had gone through anything, but that's kind of wild. It's only 4 of us. And I think that sabotage. I keep thinking about the fact that y'all's favorite daddy, not y'all, not you, Immortal, and definitely not you, Katie, because, well, how can you be for the movement and you want to put somebody out there in a way that makes people not want to take them seriously? I just don't get that, you guys, right? And I'm not over here bitching or whining or whatever, as much as I might sound whiny, but that's just for affect. Like, do you guys get it? Like, 4 people in my state, we're really talking about cash payments. And if you don't believe me, just look at the fucking YouTube. They record their shit. We're there specifically with points. We're not taking all goddamn data shit to say it. Katie, you came up. What's up? Peace.
Hey, so just listen to the space, taking my braids out and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess you just gotta, like I always say, you have to be who you say you are off this app, on this app, because if you do that, then you ain't never got to worry about nobody, whether they try to, throw dirt at you or, try to bring accusations against you or whatever the case may be. If you solid, it's always going to reveal itself, always. And I always say that, the past, I went through hell for a year and a half on this app. I really did. But it was from a bunch of people who really couldn't really do shit to like really make me like fold or whatever the case may be. It was from a bunch of nobodies, so to speak. A bunch of nobodies, a whole bunch of people that talk a good game on this app. A lot of them hide behind cartoon pictures and stuff like that. They scared to show their face because they can't lose that corporate job that they have, or they just scared to show their face because of what that face just might look like. You know what I'm saying? And all because of, somebody who, or people who genuinely want to do something about our, situation as a collective. Some people don't like that. And a lot of times it'll be the people who claim to be your folks, who claim to be, you know what I'm saying, who claim to be your people. They'll be the main ones out there acting like they care, acting like they really want to get stuff done. But at the same time, when you see people be like, all right, let's do it then, they not with it. They not with it. I've learned that everybody can't go. I've also learned that you got to leave people where they at. You shouldn't nobody have to beg nobody to want to do the right thing when it comes to our folks. We all grown. You shouldn't have to beg nobody. If they showed you the first time that they won't try to budge, then let them be. Let them be whoever they want to be on the app. That's the most that's the most that you're going to get out of them. So let them, you know what I'm saying? Let them be what they want to be online on social media. Because at the end of the day, when it all counts, who's standing next to you outside when it's really time to put on for our people? Who's standing beside you, regardless of the type of job that they have, regardless of the sacrifices that they make for their family, whether they, putting themselves at risk, putting themselves in harm's way to do this, the potential of losing everything that they ever worked hard for, to do this. That's who matters. And I can honestly say that you and Bear Arms and your husband and your babies have been standing side by side with me outside in real life for going on 3 years now. I can say that. It be people that claim to be in your state or whatever state, or it could be a state that has like a lot of the concentration of our people can be in a particular state. And you will see it in their location, or they'll tell you that they this place, or they'll tell you that they that place. But when it all comes down to it, they talk a good game about reparations online. They talk a good game about doing this work or doing that work online. But when it really matters to the people that you need to bring it to, or the people that you need to like really see about outside, the people who have the authority to push legislation this way or push legislation that way, and we don't never see you with out off the out with none of these people. We ain't never seen you at a task force meeting. We ain't never seen you at a commission or however they label your reparations, wherever you at in whatever state you in. We ain't never seen you there. We ain't even never seen you at a damn city council town hall. But online, you know exactly what we need to do. You know exactly where we need to be. You know exactly what specific whatever specific bullet points we need or whatever the case may be. You know all of that. You know all of that when you log into your account on the phone. That's why I was so pissed off at Georgia last year when we seen that first one, and it was like 3 damn people in there, and everybody in their mama's fucking location is goddamn damn near Georgia damn near, or if it ain't Chicago, or if it ain't one of these other big cities, and it's never the people that's jumbled into the space. They are never jumbled into the outside space when it counts, when it comes to that. That's why I always tell you, sis, I don't get upset when people claim that they want to be here or they want to do. I don't get upset about that. I let people rock because I know they fake and they whack and they not stepping for real. So you can get on this app and scream into your phone at the top of your lungs as loud as you want to. But if you ain't in no crackers' faces, like we really be in their faces checking them. If you not off this app checking these motherfuckers, I don't care about none of the shit you say on this app because it either goes in one ear out the other, or I just don't want to hear it, period. I don't deal in fake. I don't deal in phone. I don't deal in none of that stuff. And this is why everybody that ever tried to put something on me or ever tried to lie on me or ever tried to do whatever it is they felt that they was doing, they always lose. You can't beat me because I am who I am on and off this app. And I'm the type of person that's willing to meet anybody in person. If you don't know about me by now, you should know that I travel. I don't got a problem traveling. I will come anywhere. If it's necessary for me to be there, I'll be there. I've always been where I said I was going to be at. I've always done what I said I was going to do. So this is why I'm not fazed, and I don't think we should be fazed by a lot of these internet antics by now because they old and played out. And a lot of people don't have no backbone. They got to hide behind other people on the app. I'm like, damn, what the fuck is this? High School Musical? You ain't got no backbone. So you got to wait until somebody else say something to decide that's when you want to say something. Or you got to wait for somebody else to care, to act like that's when you care. But none of this shit matters to me because we all get to log into these social media apparatuses whenever we feel like it and be whoever we want to be, like Sister Ayala said, and do whatever it is we imagine that we're doing. But if ain't nobody seeing it and it is not affecting no type of change, then it's fake to me. It's bullshit. It's complete and utter bullshit. So yes, I say, man, look, you can't be in a movement if you don't move. How you a part of a movement and you ain't moving? Like, make that shit make sense to me. People that say, oh, I'm in a politician ear, or I'm in a politician's DM, baby, I'm in their face. We in their face. Big difference. We're in their face. You can ignore a DM, or you can ignore what somebody's quote unquote trying to pass through the damn message canal to you. But you can't ignore me being all up in your face, invading all your personal space, making you feel so uncomfortable, making your face turn red as a beet. I have a nickname, and I didn't know I had one until our last meeting, and they called me the mean one. That's my nickname, and I had no idea I had it until they told me.
They didn't even want to really, she didn't even really want to say it, to you.
She didn't want to say it, but hey, she let me know. But I'm glad to know that. But yeah, you can't be in a so-called movement if you don't move. Yes, it's good that you do this. Yes, it's good that you do that. But at the same time, where it really counts, you need to be where you need to be, where it really counts. There's a lot of people. It's not a lot, but I know quite a few people that are on this app who have a Virginia location. And where our meeting is 2.5 hours away from me. Do you know those people are closer to the damn location than I am? And I come 2.5 hours to get there when it could probably take them maybe 20 or 30 minutes to get there. You think they showing their ass?
It's
Absolutely
crazy
not.
that you're telling everybody that you speed. Like, let's go with the speed limit.
Oh,
It
I'm
really
sorry. It
should
takes me
take her
almost
like 3.5
to
hours
get
to
there.
get there.
Sorry. It takes me 3.5 hours to get there. But it's people that live 20 and 30 minutes, like right up the street from the location. Because the location don't change, only changed once. And it was actually closer to me and Eve that last time. I was thankful for that. But at the same time, all my vehicles work and they all got gas. So I don't be tripping on nothing. But they're closer than we are, and they can get to said location faster than we can get to the location. But they ass ain't never there. That's why I say I'm a see it. I'm a believe it when I see it type of person. I ain't seen it yet. Some of y'all ain't seen it yet. Some of y'all, it's just been the same 2 of y'all, or the same 1 of y'all, or the same 4 of y'all, or 5, or however many of y'all been doing the same. It's just been y'all. And y'all have people that are in closer proximity to wherever y'all need to be at than y'all are, but it's just y'all. And sometimes we gotta accept the fact that it's just gonna be us. We gotta accept that. So I'm not mad at nobody for not wanting to do nothing. I'm not gonna sit up here and waste my time or my breath on telling people what they need to do or where they need to be outside of this app. I'm not doing none of that. It's worthless. It's pointless. It serves absolutely no fucking purpose. Just move and mobilize with the people that you know gonna be where they need to be at. It's gonna do what the hell they say they're gonna do. It don't take an army of us. It only take quite a few of us to invoke change, as long as you know what we talking about. You on topic, and you got everything covered from A to Z. You making sure everything is what it needs to be. You don't need everybody else. So yeah, I don't get it. I think a lot of people, and I'll probably end here because I got to start on the other side of my house. But I think a lot of people are maybe living out what they wish they could have been in high school days on this app. A lot of people wanted to be popular. They never got that opportunity. A lot of people wanted to be with the in crowd. They wanted to be liked. They wanted to be like, they wanted to be the it person in high school. Maybe they got rejected a lot. Maybe, people might have joked on them a lot. Maybe they had insecurities in high school that, maybe caused them not to maybe be liked. Maybe they just was a person that nobody liked because they was an evil spirited person and they just had a bad aura around them. So now that we are all adults and nobody has to see me, but you can hear me, I can say and do and make you believe whatever I want to make you believe on this app, because I don't ever have to show you my face if I don't want to. So I think a lot of people is living out their glory days that they wish they had in high school online now, because it's easy to do that. And some people just lazy. Some people just flat out lazy, and some people just flat out go along to get along. It sound good right now because this is what everybody's talking about, but at the same time, they ain't finna do nothing. They just wanna be a part of the crowd, the cheerleading crowd, but they don't want to be on the field. They don't want to get in the field and do nothing. So you gotta leave them folks where they at, man. We done had how many dress rehearsals with this shit? What, 3 years now? Shouldn't we know by now who's serious and who not? I'm being serious. Shouldn't we know by now who is serious about this and who not? We should. And we should know how to carry people and leave them where they at if they ain't trying to move. So if you haven't moved and you think you a part of the movement, baby, you a stand still. Call your ass a kickstand. And we're gonna walk right around you while you just lean to the side. Use a fucking kickstand. You're not a part of no movement. You're a fucking kickstand. You don't do shit but run your mouth and your phone. That's it. That is it. Trust me, if there was anything as far as any type of legislation or any type of proposals being made, they read them. Whether they want to read them or not, they do read them. So if you're so-called behind the scenes or whatever, you know how some people like, yeah, but I've been writing this and I've been doing that and I got this off the people. They would read them. They would definitely read them because it's public information and these are public hearings. So they have to present it to the public. Whether they want to or not, we would know about it. So far, I ain't heard no publications or seen nothing as far as our state is concerned. Nothing but what we present. That's it. So yeah, just look, y'all. Those of y'all who've been doing what you need to do, kudos to y'all. Shout out to y'all. I'm gonna support y'all. Whether I get to catch your meetings on your live streams, or sometimes I don't catch them. But if it comes down my timeline, it's getting shared. It's getting liked. That's just what I can do for the moment if I can't catch it. But if you've been out there doing what you're supposed to do, just keep on doing it. Do not get frustrated with anybody. Do not get overwhelmed by this situation. Do not force anybody that don't want to move to move. They've already demonstrated to us that this is not what they want to do. And one last thing. I am not about to sit up here because I'm not with none of that fake shit. I'm not about to sit up here and listen to nobody talk about reparations, have think tanks about reparations, and ain't nobody in your state or your city seen you go outside and actually advocate for reparations. You could hold a space about reparations, but what the fuck is you doing in your city or your state? Nothing. I would not be joining your spaces. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say because you're very unserious to me. So yeah, I have to leave the unserious people in the unserious on the unserious side of Twitter, and everything that needs to be done it can get done. I don't have to talk about it every single day. We don't have to talk about it every single day. Just know when it's time to, I'm where I'm supposed to be. And everybody that's where they're supposed to be, kudos to you. Everybody that's not, go to hell. Because you know you dead ass fucking wrong. But we're going to let you be great on social media because everybody, I guess it's fair enough to let everybody get that opportunity. But yeah, other than that, I'm telling you, man, move around these people. And in addition to that, live your life. Do not take any days off from loving up on your family, from getting out there and having, spending time with your folks. Do all of that. Do all of that in addition to this. Because you don't have to be one track all the time. You still got a life that you got to live. You still got one, but do not waste none of your time. Do not waste none of your breath trying to convince people about what they should be doing when they, like I said, they've shown us for 3 years now that they're not trying to do nothing. So all that convincing people and all that getting upset about, people not doing anything, we should be over that by now. And we should just be focusing on what the hell we need to focus on. And that's just how it got to be. Everybody cannot go. So y'all that move, y'all that really make y'all that make shit shake where you at, y'all that intimidate these motherfuckers that's trying to have their whole hand in the pot about our ancestral debt. Kudos to y'all, man. I'm telling you, kudos to y'all because y'all doing exactly what y'all need to do. But yeah, other than that, let it be. Let these people be, man. Don't give a fuck about nothing. And we shouldn't give a fuck about what the fuck they give about because they damn sure don't give a fuck about what we got going on. Let them be.
I appreciate that, Katie. And to the haters in the room, some people will be allowed to speak as long as I want them to speak. And I don't know that I've ever heard Katie say anything that I don't agree with, really. I mean, we might do it differently, but I love that about us. Just like me and Isla do it differently. But I love that about us. We don't have to do it the same way to get the job done. And I gotta I gotta talk to my dude real quick about all of this because all of this is kind of crazy. And as such, I wanted to do. Katie, you made me think about one of my favorite rappers. I don't really have a favorite rapper, but this is a song that came up. And what's up, everybody? It's Eve. Follow me on Twitter and YouTube for space recordings and special live programs. 2024, we're doing things a little different if you haven't peeped game by now. So yeah, this is your chance. You can do it now if you want. Hit the bell here on YouTube at JustEveB or find me on X at Justice, the number 4, Just Us. That's JUSTICE, the number 4, JUST _US. And if you feel so inclined, support my channel and the work we do over here. The Cash App and Patreon links are in the description. Black first. I came across this post on Facebook, and it was very important that I remembered to tell you guys about the hairline in the room. The loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room. The strongest one in the room usually isn't even in the room. Now, the second part I don't really understand. The first part I get, and sometimes these messages are so leveled and telling that it's almost like a dare. I dare a nigga to call this nigga up and ask him why the loudest person in the room is not in the room. That doesn't make sense. Also, to Katie's point, if you're not making things happen where you live, what are you doing? Like, I don't want to say that they got some tether in them, so maybe it's just like some white people shit, some remnant tribal Moorish thing or something. I don't know, but if you're not worried about where you live, then you can't be worried about where other people live. And then if you're only worried about where other people live, then I don't understand that fight. Like, while I get that we have a very big country and all of it is ours, do y'all know that that's really the whole world? Like, y'all stunt your growth at delineation, and I understand the need to delineate because there is a very specific debt from a very specific group of individuals for the people on that specific land. That debt is owed to a lot of us from other places. You just gotta, take the bill to where it's the people who have to pay it, right? And then stay on that. But no, you will take trinkets and baubles and holidays and just a bunch of shit. It's sabotage, because why are we accepting less than what is owed? And then, what'll happen is that people will say, did y'all see a few years ago, I keep talking about this, the white people in the prayer circles? I don't know why Facebook keeps reminding me that in 2020, there was all these white people in these prayer circles, and forgive us because, we didn't own slaves, but, we're not them bad white people. And I kept thinking in real time that they didn't want us to treat them how they didn't want us to treat them how they treat us. Because I've also had that conversation where in real time, white people will say, if that happened to me, I'd burn it down, and have zero hesitation about it. And I don't see that as a public thing for us. Maybe people in your family that handle business, but a lot of niggas is on some forgive shit, and they know not what they do, and real Jesus-like. But maybe that's what Isla was talking about. People are not reading the Bible. They're just listening to someone's interpretation. Is that some slavery um, discard? Like, we're still dealing with having people interpret things for us? But if that's the case, then do I know too much, Isla? Like, do I know that we were literate before they told us we were illiterate? Is that where people are? Do they not know that we knew how to read before they took away reading because we invented the languages and they came and did their thing, but still our languages? Like, what is it? Why am I having a disconnect here?
I think it's a layered answer, but for the most part, it takes effort to sit down and read something or to study, right? And some of us don't know how to read and comprehend what we're reading, and some of us don't really know how to study. And then there's some laziness, right? But I'm the kind of person that if I don't have a skill or I want this particular skill, I'm just going to keep at it until I get it. So it's easier to just let someone else tell you the information or give you the information versus you actually studying it on your own. So, and that's how we get caught up, because we don't, my uncle always told me, you trust but verify, right? So we don't do the verification part, right? So you can tell me a thing, but I don't follow up with actually going to the source of this information. And that's how we get caught up. We don't do the independent part of, understanding the things we need to understand.
Shout out to the people who need people to read them the news. Look, I get it. We don't have time, and it's so much. And I talked about being desensitized. We are desensitized because they flood us with a bunch of negative things, a bunch of negative imagery, a bunch of, well, it's not even imagery. It's just stuff that they're doing to us. And because it's not a lot of people speaking up in a big way, they're, I guess, telling us to accept it. And again, is it because I know that we never stopped fighting, that there were uprisings during chattel slavery, that they didn't just take us? People are so traumatized from their story, Isla and Immortal and Empress. Hey, I see you in the room. I don't know why we're here in 2024 having the same conversation we had in 2020, other than it's what KD said. People just don't want to. So I guess fuck them. But I had the same disconnect with my family, like my actual family, people who I thought would understand what we're going through because they're me. So why wouldn't they understand what we're going through? And then why wouldn't they want to do something about it? But in real time, some of them niggas was like, you doing too much. And I'm like, maybe, just maybe. It's because you're not doing anything. So maybe I have to do more because the slack. I got to pick up the slack for my fucking family's half-assed attempt at existing today. But I don't know. Maybe it's just because I really mean the shit that I say, and some of y'all just don't. If you've never pulled up anywhere, then maybe you shouldn't talk about people doing any pull-up. If a person said, I want to talk about what's owed to us to people who matter, and when I say people who matter, I don't think that these people matter as much as the way that the laws are written. Some of these people have control and authority on the money and the resources, so they would matter because the resources and money could come in our direction. So there's a reason for why I'm saying that they matter. And I hate all the disclaimers, but people try to chop up my words and say that I say something I didn't say. So just being real clear tonight. But when we're talking to people who matter about the resources, if you don't know what to say, then maybe you wouldn't say something. Fine. Maybe you're a person who needs people to explain something to you. Fine. But you wouldn't tear down people who are speaking up, because if you wanted to speak up, you could. I tell people to hold their vote, and I'm telling people to hold their vote. I don't think Biden nor Trump has our best interest, but in specific local elections, if your city is trying to make a sanctuary city and you could vote to make that not happen, then maybe you would do that. But that's me telling people what to do. Why aren't people having their own thoughts about how to secure their square? Is it because they're focused on other people's square? It's easier to tell somebody about their shit and not focus on your own shit. So, yeah, I get that. And some of y'all are on Twitter before you brushed your fucking teeth. So I get that too. But if we're talking to the people who handle life and then check in on social media, a lot of it is this facade. It's a kayfabe, and I guess it is easy to just talk a lot of shit and not do anything, but we really are in the home stretch. How do I know we're in the home stretch? Because the country is being flooded with people who are not supposed to be here. At the end of the day, the math would be that white people understand that they're in the red, and they would go ahead and pay what's owed to the people who are here that are owed. From there, Black people stimulate the economy, and I guess a happy nigga might want to make a couple snow bunny mixtures or something, you know, but they can't even think like that. No, they're like, let's bring back measles and mumps and smallpox and all sorts of shit that's been gone for a long time because they don't want to pay what's owed. And I think that when we're looking at which demon is more demony, when we've agreed that they're all demons, it goes back to the whole responsibility for our actions and critically thinking about things. We don't have to accept what they're giving us as much as if you accept what they're giving you, then you should hold those people accountable. Some people are not even fighting the same fight. I don't know, Isla. You were trying to say something, but go ahead.
Yeah, we were talking about the whole pull-up stuff, and yeah, I'm not gonna pull up anywhere until I've armed myself, but I'm not going to sit at a table until I've armed myself. For myself, this is how I think, and I think a lot of us, and I can include myself in that, is not understanding the how the system works, right? And we're talking about civics, and we're talking about local politics, state politics, government politics, and a start could be as simple as knowing who is in your local area, who the city council people are, how the politics works, who are the players. I don't believe in jumping into anything willy-nilly and just going in there and then making a complete fool of yourself, or talking about things that you truly don't have any knowledge of, or you're just regurgitating things that you've said, that you've heard, right? So I think the education piece is very, very, very vital for us when we're going to start getting involved in these things. and to educate ourselves, so that when we're moving, we're not just exhausting our energy and it's just going out the window, right? We're like a hamster on a treadmill. We have to be very strategic and thoughtful in the process and what it is that we're getting ready to do or say. Um, and that includes with who we collaborate with, right? Getting to know these people, and educating yourself on what it is that this particular organization is about, or people that are you want to affiliate yourself with, because if we're truly trying to get to the end goal, we've got to have a knowledge base behind us. So for me, for Isla personally, I'm not just going to go running out there unarmed. And that would just be my advice or my thought process, right? To arm yourself. Know who all is in the room. You don't go to battle not knowing the landscape, or how many people the enemy has on their side, what kind of weapons they have. You have to arm yourself. So I just wanted to add that part about the whole conversation about getting involved, right? Start with educating yourself. Start with understanding. I know we all went through civics class in high school, but I'll be honest, I sat through that stuff and I just put whatever answers to pass the test. I didn't retain anything. I didn't understand how any of this stuff worked. And now as an adult, I'm having to go back and actually study and learn these things. So, that could be a reason why people don't go out. I don't know. But nevertheless, do something if you need to start with yourself, and educate yourself on all these things.
I think that's great. And I was going to label this space Even AI Knows the Way, because sometimes I get into arguments with ChatGPT, and then I talked to Dr. Winters about it, and essentially it is a tool that can be used to disseminate information in a big way, also can simplify information in a big way, but it's about what's out there already. So if it's not out there in a big way, then it can't do what you need it to do. So, for example, you could falsify what it said if you know more than what it gave you, and then from there it will say something along the lines of, oh yes, I do see that that's out there, but it's not widely accepted. Well, it's not widely accepted because it's not out there a lot. So what we put out there, can help what we're doing. But Eileen made me think about the meeting people and how women specifically are emotional creatures, and our emotionalism makes us blind to threats. And if we don't have appropriate leadership or guidance or whatever, then we can be susceptible to people preying on that vulnerability. From there, extortion and sabotage. Again, I feel like if people don't want to read, there's Audible, but maybe the books that we need are not on Audible. So, okay, sorry. Even AI can do it. The conversation that I had with AI was about how to dismantle systems and shit like that, and critically thinking. And the first step was, the first reason that people had an issue with critically thinking is because of their lack of knowledge. Isla was talking about getting familiar with the information, but if you're just going to trust someone blindly, that's not you getting familiar with the information as much as you are getting familiar with the person. So now people shouldn't even really trust you because you're not doing what you say that you are supposed to be doing. To Katie's point about just letting people do whatever the fuck they're going to do and just being solid, I think that's where I am, because in real time with my family, like I said, had to leave people where they were at. And some people have made changes to do things that make sense, and some people have put their heels in the ground and got a job and are experiencing issues and difficulties. And I don't want to say I told you so because that's fucked up, right? But self-inflicted wounds. Have you ever paid attention to your phone and ran into something? That's a self-inflicted wound. That shit hurt, didn't it? Peace Vader, welcome to my space. We're talking sabotage, extortion, in the movement. What's up?
Peace to the gods and goddesses in the room. I've only been back on the app a few days now, and I'm noticing a lot's changed. I'm seeing like a lot of people are not rocking with other people and stuff that used to. It's very different, and it makes me feel like there's something going on underneath that is manipulating all this. But I'm really up here to talk about AI because I heard you speak on it. Everything you said is accurate, and I have a little bit more detail to add to the mix. And it seems like maybe that's why I was brought back to the app, is to speak on AI. So
Now, before you go into it, are you a tech professional? Is this something that you do on your hobby? Like, how familiar are you with technology that we should take your opinion into consideration?
I've been in technology for 40 years. I'm 54 years old. I've been doing this shit since I was 12, and I've been doing it professionally since I was 19.
So, I'm sorry, before you
Go
go
ahead.
on,
No, go
to the
ahead.
point, the only reason that I'm doing this is because I think people do need to paperwork check. And I don't want your certifications or whatever. Like, I'm gonna take you for your word. People should be who they say they are. From there, if what you say lines up, then maybe people use you as a source. And if what you say doesn't line up, then maybe people want to see more about why you've claimed these skill sets. Because again, uh, my point about my issue is that people take somebody's word because of how strongly they can say it, or how much practice they've had with the language, and how much time they've had to study people. And now we're into sabotage land, because why would you go through all of that if it weren't to help us level up? If it were just to be a slime ball, well, sounds like sabotage. But go ahead. Please talk about AI.
Anything that I say is easily validated by Google, or by actually checking into any of the technologies that I mentioned. So my word will stand on its own. And beyond that, well, I won't get into any personals, but everyone either knows who I am or will. So that'll speak for itself as well. So my experience with AI is very much like your own, except I did have the same discussion you did with ChatGPT, and then what's really going on under the scenes, while you're seeing it take off so fast, is a lot of AI is open source, which means you don't have to log into somebody else's servers and argue with their computers. You can download the language models and argue with your own computer in your own private network, so that you know that there's no outside influence, because you can restrict its network access and then make sure that it's just speaking how it was programmed. And so the way that these, I'm going to go a little bit in depth into the technology, and if I take too long, then you can just stop me.
Actually,
But
I'm going to stop you here, because really
okay.
my point about the AI was just that if you feed it information, it will evolve in real time, but it can't just be one person feeding it information. It has to come from multiple sources. So if people are using the technology, then, it can, it can be a tool that we could use to do something about the sabotage and extortion of our movement. Because right now what I find what's happening is that people are sitting on information. They're sitting on information because they don't know what to do with it. And
Yeah.
go ahead.
Allow me to get this out, and I promise you won't be
Go ahead.
disappointed. All right. So again, I had the same issues with arguing with ChatGPT, where your first question is, do Black Americans deserve reparations? And it gives you the whole, well, there's two sides of the argument. That's its initial response. Then after you present things like, us being indigenous and being pushed off of our land, then it starts understanding that who it's arguing with, and it'll start to come around to your way. But much like much like if you're baking a cake and you spill too much cinnamon in it, it's near impossible to get the cinnamon back out of the batter, right? And so the way that these large language models are programmed is that they're given specific data sets to study, and then it learns how to speak. And it learns how to, I don't want to say think, I'll say it learns how to mimic the patterns that it sees in the speech that it's learned. So as Eve pointed out, there's nothing out there but a lot of white supremacist material that's force multiplied while our shit is shadow banned, right? So anything that we say is played down. Anything that they have said is played up, and this is baking into what we're calling AI, right? So like I said, you can download and run these on your own systems internally, and you can train it. You can train it to think more like you, and you can make it reason more like you. And you can even journal into it and leave it for your children so that when they ask your AI, they'll get the truth. But if they go out there, then obviously they're going to get what they get. And I'm going to be holding sessions on how to actually run this in your house and configure it for yourselves. There'll be more on that. But I just wanted to point out that the AI that's out there is already working for them.
Thank you for those words. And like you said, Google is your friend. But to the point about AI, maybe you've got issues there. So I guess I get it. But in real time, and Immortal, I see your hand, I'm gonna get to you. In real time, I asked AI, why do Black people want so much? And it said that it doesn't have an opinion, but I can give you some context for why some people would say that. There's systemic oppression, which would mean that they have a strong desire to overcome these challenges. From there, there's economic disparities, which I think is self-explanatory. From there, it was social justice movements saying that because the civil rights leaders have already fought for so much, society isn't just as is, so things still need to change. From there, representation, visibility, and then community and solidarity. And I just find that when you approach AI as these people, with these arguments that they give us, even the computer gets it. And it gets it because a lot of us have already asked that question. Vader's question's already been asked by a lot of people, and the information is changing in real time. They are not going to share that information with us. Not like that. What they're going to do is sit back and hope we're not paying attention to patterns, hoping that people like Vader stay off of spaces because, let's face it, Sonny posted something earlier today, and it said, what did it say? I'm going to tell you. It said, I got janky Wi-Fi. Hold on. It said, wake up, fake outrage, rinse, repeat. And I didn't like it, even though I get it, because I'm not there. We're not on no fake. I'm not on no fake outrage, and we will not be rinsing and repeating. Gonna fix this now, if I have any say. And I feel like more people need to really mean it, and then it will really happen. But maybe that's just me. I'm just Eve. Go ahead, Immortal.
Oh yeah. So just kind of wanted to chime in because this touches on sabotage. Chime in on what you and Vader were saying, because starting around July of 2022, I said, well, I'm gonna look at the Schoolhouse Rock. Schoolhouse Rock is when I was a kid. They used to come on TV and they had the little one that said the bill. I'm a bill. I'm only a bill. I said, well, damn. And I watched the little Schoolhouse. Y'all should go watch it. Just, but go watch it, and
I don't
it
think they
really
know
gives
nothing
you
about that,
but
Immortal.
yeah, some of these young
Yeah,
folks don't know nothing
that
about
Actually,
was
that.
Saturday morning.
on Sunday school, I did play Schoolhouse Rock, but it was like they done morphed it, and to the point of Sunday school, sometimes I'm gonna share some of their shit with the minis to show them how fucked up the information is. Like they were talking about voting, and you can vote to be a Tyrannosaurus Rex if you want. It was just some weird ass shit. But Isla's got a very real
Yeah,
point
no.
about civics, and to the point about old information, or at least when we were younger. So I think you might be older than me, maybe, but the information.
Yeah, I'm talking about the one that came out in like the
No,
80s.
right.
This comes out in like the
Older
80s. Yeah.
information, and even as you get older and older with the information, it was way more honest. And it was more honest because they didn't really expect us to be as cunning as we are. A lot of people don't even appreciate the fact that we can act dumb. And that's a skill, because if you know how to do something, you would just do it. But if there's a reason you're not doing it, well, maybe people should pay attention to that. And Eve, you're saying too much on this app. Fuck y'all. Like, all of this shit is common sense, but y'all don't want to do it in real life. So now we're back to me, KD, Bear Arms, and my dude, and my minis. And they like to play on the visuals of my minis being at these task force and, oh, you want $50. And I mean, yeah, I do want $50, but that's not all I want. And I want way more. And if you're just going to keep giving me some cash, like, this is never going to be over. I've had some very interesting conversations with some of these representatives who are supposed to be thinking about us, and they're telling us that we have to wait and pause and not be so mean. Katie, can't be so mean. But in real time, they used this for a photo op at the damn on the site at William and Mary. That was a whole photo op, and I know it's gonna come out because of that museum. Look that shit up. I didn't know about it, and in 2004, I wasn't even here because I'm not from Virginia, but I've been down here long enough. Is that just me? Am I a person who moves to a place and accepts what's going on here, but doesn't really accept what's going on here? And then finding out that I have ancestry here. So now I'm like tied to it. Is there a reason that I'm here? Like, I don't know. Is that just me? Maybe I'm just stuck in a loop. You were going to say something, and then Immortal has his hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to add to what you were saying about the way that they kind of make us feel less than, right? You got to wait, or the one that kills me is you don't understand how things work. That one kills me. You don't understand how things work. You can't just do this and you just can't do that. You have to understand, as if we're incapable of understanding that you're feeding us bullshit, and we're able to go and research these things and look at it and put the pieces and the parts together. And when we say, yeah, this is not making any sense, well, we just don't understand how things work, how politics works.
Like, we didn't create government. Do y'all not care? I mean, I swear, what you learned in school was not right. And a lot of y'all know that it wasn't right, but you didn't replace it with the truth. And I think that that's a distinction that matters. And it lends to the sabotage that we do to each other, because you don't really know who you are. You just know that the shit's not where it's supposed to be because you want what they have. That's not right. It's right, but it's not right. I don't know. It's like a puzzle piece, that one puzzle piece that doesn't really fit, but you try to force it, and the picture's kind of off a little bit, but I don't know. Go ahead, Immortal.
Okay. Yeah. So ChatGPT. So it's 2022 and it's July, and talking about the cartoon that I just told you about, about the bill. I said, well, that's so easy. Even a caveman can do it. So what I did was set about trying to write a bill, a federal bill, right? It was a lot harder than I had anticipated. I thought I would be able to get it done in a month, but it drug on for the rest of the year. And by the end of the year, I wasn't even halfway through it. Not even close. I don't even think I was a quarter of the way through it. Then ChatGPT comes out in December of 2022, if I'm not mistaken. And I heard about it about the middle of January 2023. So I got onto it about 2 or 3 weeks after it came out. That first week that I was on ChatGPT, I was asking that question. I was like, do you know who Dr. Francis Cress Welsing is? Do you know who, these people are our brother. I hate when I have senior moments. Our light-skinned brother who's been in politics for over 40 years, who's been representing
Dr.
the Harvest
Anderson?
Institute. Yeah, right. He runs the Harvest
Dr.
Institute. I said,
Claude
do you know
Anderson.
who? Right. So I asked
No, 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 no,
ChatGPT,
no, no, no. Say his name. Dr.
Dr.
Claude
Claude Anderson.
Anderson. Thank you. That
I'm
matters
just
to
trying to
me.
say this so fast. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Definitely some respect on that elder's name, Dr. Claude Anderson. So I asked him, do you know who these people are? I mentioned Dr. Claude Anderson. I mentioned Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, and I also mentioned uh, Malcolm X, and I also mentioned the bill that was used to give Japanese reparations. And I said, take information from all these people and their speeches and their ideals, and then use this as a template, use this bill as a template, but change it for Black Americans and make it. And it did it. It went all the way down. Bam, it did it. I was like, oh my God. Now it wasn't perfect. And it definitely, I'm getting close to the end of the editing part, the part that I can do alone. Some of this I can't, I got to ask the people going to have to make some of these decisions if it's going to be a good bill. But the part that I can edit, I'm almost done. But in the beginning, no problem. Kicked it right on out. Had language from all those elders and ancestors that I mentioned and all that. Okay. I kept going on. I said, well, change this to this. Change this to this. Okay, rewrite the whole thing and put this in this. It came a point about 30 days in where the chat GPT started arguing with me. Oh, well, I ain't allowed to write a bill. I'm not I'm just a language model and I can't write a bill. And I'm sitting thinking like, you could write it 3 weeks ago. So what happened? Because it's learning every time I ask it a question, and it's learning every time I ask it to do something, and it's learning, don't let these niggas do this shit. So I had to become a much more adept at prompting. I had to be much more adept at not asking the direct question, but following a line of reason to make the computer make the chat GPT give me what I wanted it to give me. And, like I say, the finishing touches on that bill, I just really need a quorum of good Black Americans to bounce ideas and fill in the blanks. How much should it be? And all these things. How should the commission be set up? Who's gonna oversee the to qualify people to come on and get that reparation? All these things got to go in there. And anyway, but I just wanted to, piggyback on what you and Vader were saying about how that dang on thing wants to argue with me now. It wasn't like that the first 3 weeks. And I'm familiar with computers. I haven't made a profession like Vader, but my mom was a systems analyst for Boeing, and she understood the intranet before anybody else had Boeing. Well, before everybody else except one person. One person showed it to her. He was an Air Force pilot. It showed her the intranet of Boeing. And while everybody else had to go all over the plant and find information, they had to go to this section, write that down. Then they had to go all across the plant and take all day to get your job done. But my mom just sit at the computer, tap in a few things and pull it up. And so we always had a computer in the home since '83. I went to computer boot camp. So I'm familiar with computer. I've always been around them, since I was a kid. So, I just thought that was interesting when it comes to the subject of sabotage, how if I was to go right now today and try to start from scratch to get as far as I got now, it would be much more difficult. I'd have to go around in a circle and not really let it know
Actually,
what I want
I'm
to do.
glad you got there. So in real time, and I'm going to keep doing this because it's so simple, even a caveman can do it. I hate that people think that because you got good hair that something happened to you or your family. Nah, niggas got good hair. All of our hair is good hair. But in real time, and you guys are going to go through this with me, but this is what happened. Write me a bill for reparations, for lineage-based reparations for Black Americans. So outside of what Immortal said about the one specific big thing, how much, this is what it said. It gave a preamble. Whereas the legacy of slavery, systemic racism, and discriminatory policies has had lasting effects on Black Americans, resulting in significant disparities in various aspects of life. And whereas acknowledging historical injustices and addressing their impact is essential for promoting equality, justice, and healing. And whereas it is the duty of the government to rectify past wrongs and work toward a more equitable society, be it enacted by the Congress of the United States. Section 1, Purpose and Intent. This bill aims to provide reparations to eligible Black Americans who can demonstrate direct lineage to enslaved individuals. It seeks to address the historical harms caused by slavery and its aftermath. I don't know, seems super simple. Section 2, Definitions. Eligible descendant. A person who can provide direct ancestry to an individual enslaved in the United States. And then the second part of that is reparations. Monetary compensation and other forms of redress provided to eligible descendants. Section 3, Establishment of Reparations Fund. A national reparations fund shall be established to provide financial compensation to eligible descendants. This fund shall be administered by a committee composed of representatives from relevant federal agencies, historians, and community leaders. Oh, I guess Immortal spoke to that too. So there's two pieces that Immortal needed for his original question and inquiry back in 2022. And the reason I'm going through all this, there's a reason, so bear with me. Section 4, Eligibility Criteria. To qualify for reparations, an individual must provide documented evidence of direct lineage to an enslaved person, be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. The committee shall establish guidelines for verifying eligibility, which, I mean, Katie brings paperwork every single meeting. Like, if y'all do your ancestry and you're from here, there's paperwork. They just don't want you to know about it. And if you're from here, well, where I am in the country, some of our paperwork got destroyed because Walter Plecker is he was a person who had credentials that was on demon time about who we are and our ties to the land. But our people kept really good records, and everything is where it's supposed to be if you start looking. Section 5, Calculation of Reparations. The committee shall determine the total reparations amount based on the number of people eligible, the economic, social, and health impacts of slavery, the harm caused by discriminatory policies, and reparations shall be distributed in installments over a specific period. So that goes back to the amount. Additional measures is Section 6, and it talks about educational initiatives, community development, and acknowledgement and apology. So, making sure that doesn't happen again, saying sorry, and let's try to fix the community. That is outside of that direct cash payment that I talked about. Section 7 is implementation and oversight, and it literally is 2 bullets. The committee shall oversee the implementation, and there shall be regular reports. Section 8, funding. Where does it come from? It comes from federal appropriations. And if you want to be a private donor, you can do that too. And Section 9, this is the last one, effective date. This bill shall take effect upon passage. And essentially, it tells you at the end that this is a fictional bill. And it is. But why can't you use that as a template to do what you need to do where you are? Why? Because it gives you references. What references, Eve? In real time, the technology is using what's happening. California reparations, after a reparations study, it's got a bunch of different links for things that have already happened. So what I said about feeding the technology information and what Immortal started and other people like him started at the beginning of this tool, this artificial intelligence, which isn't really artificial as much as it's just, I guess, the internet on steroids. We can really do something with what we're talking about. But if people just want to be online talking about it, well, I mean, it will feed the algorithm. But if you don't want to do anything with the output, I just don't know what y'all are doing here. Like, maybe it's just an attention-seeking, clout chasing, sounds good for the moment. I don't know.
It gave you all that just for the asking?
Yeah, just
It,
from
it,
that,
it
just
could,
from that one question.
oh, wow.
And
Because I get a lot of what you call them disclaimers. If when I, but hey, I'm
my
glad they
disclaimer
gave
was
you
all the
that.
way at the end, and I get the disclaimer because every time I ask like a morality type of question, it'll say, well, I'm just a robot. But in real time, you can make it feel, quote unquote, feel however you want it to feel. And I don't know if people care as much as they just like having access to information. But if you don't care about the information, then you're going to start spreading false shit. And if you're spreading false shit, then sabotage. Now we're back into the sabotage part of the movement. People just saying whatever because they think it's what needs to be said, when really, say less. Nigga, y'all out here talking about 48 laws of power and failing on law number 4. Like, I can't, how do y'all keep going if you can't get past number 4? That's why I can't. I mean, there's a lot of other reasons why I can't really rock with the 48 laws of power, but I'm very much a simple person. Step by step, let's work it out. And if these are the steps, how do we get to the next step if we haven't mastered the first 3? And if you're a person who's stuck on stupid at 3, then that's where you are, and that's where you should stay. But no, people think that. But this goes back into I don't know when you came into the room, Immortal, but I was talking about the education system, and I said I wasn't going to be here all night, but I was mad. But then Isla made me not mad with how we think and how we are. So we're here now. And the education system is it's a planned sabotage. They teach children not to critically think. They teach them to be groupthink. And from there, it doesn't really matter what's right because you're just going to go with the flow because that's the easiest thing to do. Kids who stand up behind their desk and have to move around, they get labeled with disorders, and a lot of times that's our minis that are getting labeled because they need more than this sit in your seat and take notes, you know? But now we're dealing with people who grew up like that, and they're supposed to take us to the promised land, but they don't even really understand that. Well, maybe they do understand. You said that too. Some people know exactly what they're doing, and they're gonna keep doing it. But in real time, the education system is failing people. And if you can't afford to take them out and put them in a Montessori like Isla, which brings its own issues, or you can't afford to take them out and put them in a private school like my minis are in because of how much it costs or whatever at the time, you're gonna have to do more. But sabotage. I went on a tangent. I didn't mean to. In real time, that the computer is learning, and it's not just my computer that's learning. They're all learning. It's all connected and shit. So people could use the tool that they have right at their fingertips to say what needs to be said in real time. And I think it's because they either don't know, or they don't care, or they don't want to. And I'm not out here trying to put any label on anybody, but those are the only 3 labels that I can see. They don't know, they don't care, or they do know and don't give a shit.
I want to say something, Eve. I would like to add a third thing to that. It's laziness. And I'm going to give you why I say that as an example. I so tonight I went to sorry about that. I was going to the garbage like thing where you put all your garbage here in the complex, and I just sat back and watched this one guy, right? So it has these 2 doors that you open, and I promise you I'm going somewhere with this. But anyway, it has 2 doors that you open, and one you have to lift up the little latch from the bottom. There's like a hole in the concrete so that both of the doors open. And he stood there because he was too lazy to open that other side, and he was trying to squeeze his body through the one side because you can't pull the gates open unless you open both sides. So he's trying to squeeze through there, and I'm thinking to myself, it just takes like 3 or 4 movements, like just to pull it up, open the gate, then walk in, then come back out, and then put it back, right? But instead of just taking the time to do the extra steps or the extra things, he rather like forced himself through there. So to my point of the laziness is that a lot of us don't do the extra steps, or we don't go through the steps in a certain order. And to me, that's just laziness. I hope that made sense. It made sense to my brain, but to
No, it
why
did.
I'm actually adding that.
I don't. I understand why it's lazy, because I've also seen that people trying to squeeze into places that they don't necessarily fit. But
Yeah, it's the shortcut. We always want to take the shortcut. We don't want to take the
absolutely,
long road.
absolutely. Um, I'm gonna blame that back on. Look, I think that if people want to play the blame game to a point that Amora was talking about, it's not my fault or his fault. It's them niggas' fault. They not niggas, but it's them people's fault, right? And we're dealing with all of these stressors and all of this conflict because of the interruption of things. When we were in control of the resources and how things were delegated, or how things were supposed to go, yeah, there were issues. However, I don't know that we were dealing with, you know, global warming or extinct animals or any of the shit that they try to tell you is more important than our reparations, right? And then from there, Isla, it's taught. I think that what you're talking about is taught. They say if you have an hour to take a test, answer all the questions you know, and then go back and answer the ones you don't know. But that's not how life is. every every situation is a test, or every situation is a learning opportunity, and it's how you move that'll determine the outcome. That's what we've been talking about. And to a bigger, wider hamster wheel, if people are afraid of making the wrong decision because the outcome could be bad, then people don't move. So I don't know if that's lazy as much as it's taught to just go around things if you can, and if you can't, don't do anything. And if you don't do anything, it's okay, because you did what you could, and you know, there's always tomorrow. And to a big point, sure, there is tomorrow, because we're people who've been here for a very long time, and we will continue to be here for a very long time. But sabotage, I think that there's so many people in the older bracket who never got to be on top, that right now they're just they're in the way. And they're in the way because they said, not in my lifetime. You know, reparations isn't going to happen in my lifetime. And in real time, in their lifetime, it's happening. And it's happening because, well, it's not because of them. And I don't mean all, not all, not all, not all, not all, but a lot. And there's so many people who didn't believe in what's owed to us, that they're trying to pass down this defeatist mentality. It's not going to happen in our lifetime. We're going to have to pass this buck on. Fuck that. Samaya is not going to have to deal with this later. Not if you are who you say you are. At least that's how I feel. The minis will not have to deal with this. Why? Why should they have to deal with it? Why do y'all want to pass on some shit that we can handle in real time to the babies? That's sabotage. And with regards to extortion, well, I guess that's really why I wanted to have a whole space, because of some shit that I saw earlier. But here's the thing, and I want to make this very clear to anybody that I've ever heard of what's happened to you since I've said what's happened to me. If you don't want to talk about it, then you don't want to talk about it. And I'm not going to talk about it as much as I am going to talk about a pattern. And I see a pattern of faceless niggas who can talk a good game because maybe what Katie said is true. They didn't do what they wanted to do in high school, and now they're taking revenge on everybody, because why not? Got the time or not, they have to hide or whatever. But at the end of the day, people have time to prey on our emotions. And if you are an emotional person, like most women, then maybe you shouldn't talk so much. That goes back to that law number 4 that everybody keeps talking about, these 48 laws of power, that was written by this white guy living in his mom's basement. The shit is a fucking pattern. Do y'all get it? People are not doing anything different as much as they're hoping and daring you to read. And that's the whole stereotype. Niggas don't like to read. But we were people who invented reading and writing before people who, Isla, having another disconnect. Is it because I listen to people who have read and then I've done the evidence, the fact checking myself? Or is it because it's boring? Because I get that too. A lot of that shit puts me to sleep and I have to go back and listen to it again and then do the research and, find out what's going on.
Ask the question again because I'm not understanding your question.
Why don't people care about the past? Is it boring? Like, is that what it is? Because to me, if they cared a little bit about the past, then maybe they would pick up on the pattern. If they picked up on the pattern, then maybe we wouldn't be perpetuating and repeating the shit that keeps happening. Because in real time, the Black Panther movement, the Black nationalist movement, the Nation of Islam, respectfully, and like I started, the Catholic Church, god damn it, which isn't really, it's some white people shit, but still, it's a lot of organizations that have some weird, fucked up shit going on inside of it, and then people are supposed to ignore it for the greater good. And I don't know if that's what the movements are saying. And then if the movements aren't saying that, then why is that what people are doing? And I know you talked about the accolades that they've already gotten and, their position in the movement and all of that stuff. I kind of get that, but in real
Well, to
time,
answer
it's a fucking pattern. Go ahead.
to answer your original question, it's because we've been granted certain comforts, and hold on, I got something loud in here. Give me 1 second. Let me step out.
Peace to listeners in the room. We've been live for a little bit, and we're talking about sabotage, extortion, and the movement. And the reason that we were even live tonight is because I saw some shit earlier today that just fell right into the pattern of faceless people with a big personality who know things that make sense, doing some fucked up shit. And it's like, I know they know better. Or do they know better? Like, I saw this post, Isla, and then I hope you're in a quieter place so you can talk.
Yes,
But I
I'm
saw this
ready.
post. And it was like, do bitches not know that the gangsta nigga that they like has autism? And I died. Fucking died. I was I was on the floor. But like that's real, right? Because, his quiet, his aggression, that could very much be something else. And maybe they just don't read enough to know the difference between stoic and autistic, or maybe it's a both and situation. But go ahead.
Yeah, to answer the question, I think that we've been, permitted certain comforts, right? And some of us, with knowing only certain pieces of history, right, feel that we are better off than we were back then. But to the point of studying history, the point or the reason why we should study the history is so that we don't repeat certain things, right? I was listening to one of the speeches by Malcolm X where he's talking about the Democratic Party, and and everything that he was talking about is what we're going through today, right? And it's almost as if he foretold the future, but people don't listen to that. They're comfortable, and that's how in the system of racism, white supremacy, they give us comforts as a way to kind of pacify us and kind of lull us to sleep. So I think it's that. I think that some people are just comfortable and they don't want to disrupt, what it is that they have right now. They don't want to rock the boat. Don't want that taken from them.
No, that makes sense. I get it. It's comfortable in your bed that you've made, but if there is a faceless nigga that I have been consistently listening to and has not led me wrong yet, it would be Professor Black Truth, and he said, they like to break their tools. So be wary of being around them people, because they don't know how to act. And to the point that I've been making this whole time, sometimes we don't know how to act because of our proximity to or our wanting to be this overseer or head nigga in charge, or, just making sure that you get to stay on top and nobody gets to be competitive, no matter what you say. A lot of people need to pay attention to the fact that loud people are not who they say they are, or just that the message might be loud and the person speaking it might be very small. There is a whole thing called Napoleon complex, and that's something you can Google, because again, Google is your friend. But for the space and to the topic and the whole reason I even wanted to speak tonight, if people who have been wronged don't want to speak, then that's on them. However, I have been wronged and I have spoken up, and to people who want more from that, there's hours of recordings that you can go listen to on my YouTube, which is at JustEV, because why not? Why not make you go to my YouTube and listen to it if you want me to talk about it? I'm talking about it. And to these people that keep telling me what's happened to them, if they don't want to talk about it, or if they just want to talk to me about it, or look, if they just want to pillow talk to y'all about it, I don't know what we're supposed to do with that, as much as maybe just pay attention to the pattern and do better next time. Isla, did you have any closing thoughts on our sex talk tonight?
Actually, just, like I said earlier, I think the biggest thing that I want to convey to people is just to learn on your own, to be an independent person in thought and in your actions. Don't follow any crowds, or because they're doing it. Don't get hooked up in that stuff. We need to really think critically. And when we all start saying and doing the same things, that's where the code will be developed.
Very true. Very true. It leads me to another post that I saw on Facebook a couple days ago about it's better to have an honorable person who's not nice than a nice person who's not honorable. And if people really dissect the message, then maybe what people are saying is mean is illegal. And it's not that nice people are not honorable as much as they want justice. Bitch. Okay. Am I being mean? I'm not trying to be mean. It's just late, and I hate that this conversation is repetitive, but I'm glad we were able to suss this out in real time, and hope that sabotage and extortion hasn't pushed you off the movement, because there's work to be done. And if you are about that life, be about that life. Black first.